Every day I meet somebody new, you know. Mm-hmm. This city's great because of the neighborly people, you know.
That probably take him.
Man, don't make the threat, so you know we about to turn on.
Gold mask.
My mom is so gangster.
I did meet one neighbor, interesting story, you know, that this guy, he just moved in, you know, next door to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm always one to meet the neighbors.
You like to chat with the neighbors.
Yeah, because, you know, so I went over to the guy, knocked on the door next door to where I live, and I say to the guy, I said, hey, I'm your new neighbor, you know, and I said, good to see you, you know, nice to run into you, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, you know. Mm-hmm. And so the guy, I said, what do you do for a living there, sir? You know, if you don't mind me asking. You know, what do you do for a living? I'm a nightclub comic, I tell the guy. So he says to me, he says, I work down at the University of Science there. He says, that's
a good school, by the way.
I can't remember the exact place.
Sure.
But he says, I'm a professor of logic. So I says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. Mm-hmm. He says, oh, well, he says it's a kind of a pattern of syllogistic. Well, he says it's hard to explain. He says, why don't I give you an example? So I says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. So I says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. So I said, fair enough. Why don't you do that? So the guy says, well, he says, let me ask you a question. He says, do you own a doghouse? So I go, yes, I do. He says, well, then that means you probably have a dog. I said, yes. Mm-hmm. He says, well, that means you have a family if you have a dog. I said, yes, I do. He said, well, then that means you got kids, you're married? I said, yes, I am. He says, well, then you're a heterosexual man. Mm-hmm. I said, yes, sir, I am. He says, well, you see, that's logic there. I asked if simply from finding out you had a doghouse, I made this series of inferences, mm-hmm. and I found that you're a heterosexual man simply from the fact that you had a doghouse. Mm-hmm. Well, I said, good God, isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I said, well, I won't waste any more of your time there, neighbor. And I said, I'll see you later.
See you around.
I said, come by one day and have a chicken with me. So I says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. So I says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. I go to get a bus, you know, to the bus stop. Uh-huh. And I walk down to the bus stop, and I'm still thinking about this thing that happened to me, you know. And I'm standing at the bus, and no bus coming at all, you know. It's 5 or 6 of us standing around, and one guy lights up a cigarette there. And he goes, as soon as you light up a cigarette, the bus comes. And he smokes the whole damn cigarette, no bus comes.
Right.
So I said to the guy, well, that theory really worked, huh?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, well, sometimes it works. Anyways, the guy goes, what's new with you? I go, well, I had an interesting thing happen to me today. I said, I met my neighbor. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, yeah? I go, he had a hell of an interesting job. I said, he's a professor of logic down at the University of
Science. Yeah.
And so the guy says, is that so? He says, professor of logic. He goes, what the hell is that, logic? One guy lights up a cigarette there. He goes, as soon as you light up a cigarette, the bus comes. And he smokes the whole damn cigarette. No bus comes. I said, well, it's a series of Scylla something or other.
Right.
I said, I can't remember exactly, but I said, I'll give you an example if you want to hear an example.
Yeah.
So the guy goes, all right, fair enough. So I said, let me ask you this. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you own a doghouse? And the guy goes, no, I don't own a doghouse. So the guy says, oh, yeah, you're one of them gays.
Norm Macdonald and Now, not all your material comes from the news. Is that right? You know.
No, some of my material comes. My strongest material comes from real life.
Real life.
Like, for instance, today I was driving in a car. You were kind enough to bring a car to bring this old chunk of coal here to the studio. My driver tells me a joke.
The driver we sent to pick you up told you a joke.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell it now on the show.
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of my material.
Okay. Why don't we just have him on next time?
That guy. That guy. No, wait till you hear me do it. So the guy, he goes, I say, I'll be the guy.
Okay.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office. Right?
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, "What's the problem?" And the moth says, "What's the problem? Where do I begin, man?" He goes, "I go to work for Gregory Olinovich, and all day long I work. Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Olinovich knows. He only knows that he has power over me, and that seems to bring him happiness. But I don't know. I wake up in a malaise, and I walk here and there." The podiatrist says, "Oh, yeah?" And the moth goes, "Yes." And he goes, "At night, I sometimes wake up and I turn to some old lady in my bed that's on my arm. A lady that I once loved, Doc. I don't know where to turn to. My youngest, Alexandria, she fell in the cold of last year. The cold took her down, as it did many of us. And my other boy, and this is the hardest pill to swallow, Doc. My other boy, Gregorio Ivanilidovich. I no longer love him. As much as it pains me to say, when I look in his eyes, all I see is the same cowardice that I catch when I take a glimpse of my own face in the mirror. If only the cowardice was stronger, then perhaps I could bring myself to reach over to that cocked and loaded gun that lays on the bedside behind me. And then this hellish facade once.
How long a drive was this? Do you live in the valley? Where do you live? Please, sorry.
He says, "Doc, sometimes I feel like a spider, even though I'm a moth. Just barely hanging onto my web with an everlasting fire underneath me. I'm not feeling good." And so the doctor says, "Moth, man, you're troubled. But you should be seeing a psychiatrist. Why on earth did you come here?" And then the moth said, "Because the light was on." And then the moth said, "Because the light was on."
My mom is so gangster. gangster.
Like, look, can I calm your fears about death?
Yeah, please.
You
Be serious. Are you being
I'm
serious?
being completely serious. Because I used to be, as he knows, obsessed with it. And I
Currently,
ruminated all night. And then I came to a realization that you and death will never intersect. As long as you're here, death is not. As long as death is there, you aren't.
Yeah, but since you know it's coming.
Oh, but you don't want that. You want to go.
But knowledge, I have the knowledge. I can't take away the knowledge that it's coming. I don't believe I'm going anywhere.
You don't? What about them commercials where the guy's literally selling you death? You ever see those?
Oh,
Guys
yeah.
like, you're gonna die soon and you didn't get your stuff together?
If you died today, would they have to raise an offering at your funeral? Would we see your GoFundMe page on social media? You need insurance.
That's the one thing I fear is dying. Because the thought of not existing, it's like, what the new thing they call it is? Dirt nap.
Good God, Larry.
That's what they call it, a dirt nap.
You would not say that on Hulu.
No, I wouldn't say it, but I'd say it here. I don't believe I'm going anywhere.
You don't?
Do not believe in a higher power looking down on me. I see too much. I've interviewed too many religious leaders, too many people who I've never got the answer to the one question, which is why? Why a bomber in Boston? Because if there is a God, he's omnipotent.
Yes.
If he's omnipotent, he could prevent it.
Yes.
Why didn't he prevent it?
I don't know, man, but you gotta
Don't
stop
get it.
hanging out in that hot tub with Bill Maher all the time. It sounds like you got a God-shaped hole in your heart.
What the hell are you talking about?
Don't you want to live forever?
You bet.
Don't you want to cross that river?
Yeah, I wanna.
Don't you want to kiss tomorrow now?
You believe you go somewhere?
Sure.
Where do you go?
Well, first they put you in a big black car. And by golly, everybody's dressed in their best Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. Don't you want to live forever?
You bet.
Don't you want to cross that river?
Yeah, I wanna.
Don't you want to kiss tomorrow now? Don't you want to live forever? This is a saying I made up. There are a lot of ships that are very valuable, right? Like you probably think a golden ship was valuable, right?
This is already a terrible saying.
No, a solid gold ship.
Yes, okay. There are a lot of ships out
You
there.
would think a solid gold ship would be very valuable, or a solid platinum ship.
Yes.
A ship made only of diamonds. I don't know if it would float. I don't know. But, you would think that would be your most valuable ship. But you know what, sir? It is not. You know what your most valuable ship is?
What is that?
Friendship.
People always say that about a horrible fall. It was a good thing. No! Sometimes it's a bad thing to have a horrible fall.
You're right.
I had a fall and knocked my head, and people were like, maybe it's a good thing.
I know.
How? How is it a good thing? I don't know.
Hey,
Uh-oh, Norm's got something. Here we go. Let me grab onto something.
Conan, I don't know if you agree with me.
Oh, here we go, folks.
I've always felt that anything that does not kill you makes you very weak.
There's no upside.
There is no upside in
There's
jump.
no upside in comparing your career with anybody else.
No, it's not a meritocracy, is
No,
it, sir?
And no one's taking anything away from you because you're in charge of your own destiny. That's the way I believe.
Well, if you're in charge of your own destiny, then it's not destiny.
Very good, Norm. You're right.
There was a thing I read about Woody Allen, and he went on the stage, and a lot of the people did much better than him. And he was upset, and his manager said, no, it's what you leave on the stage. That was his remark upon Woody Allen. And so I always thought, well, a guy like Andrew Dice Clay would destroy, and have me hitting the wall, as you say. But then afterwards, maybe you'd feel a little queasy.
whereas you kill and then you leave something nice on the stage. You know, it's one thing to make people laugh. It's another to make people smile.
Wow.
There's no upside in comparing your career with anybody else.
No, it's not a meritocracy, is it, sir?
And no one's taking anything away from you.
No.
Because you're in charge of your own destiny. That's the way I believe.
Well, if you're in charge of your own destiny, then it's not destiny.
Can I say one thing? Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
I have not seen you in so long.
I know, it's been a
I
while.
love you. Makes me very sad now that you're here. My mom is so gangster. My favorite story of all time is Pistorius.
Oh, yes, yes.
The runner.
Tell who Pistorius is.
Well, you know who Pistorius is.
No, but for the viewers that don't
Pistorius
know.
doesn't know.
Well, the viewers that don't
South
know.
African
gentleman.
Well, some
Yes,
viewers
he
don't
grew
know.
up a kid.
Well, he should tell it to some of the viewers that don't know who Pistorius is.
He's an Olympic runner who ran with blades. Everyone knows who he is.
Well, I wouldn't say ran with blades.
I didn't ask you what you would say.
That's
Right
true.
now, if I'm a burglar, I'm breaking in for two reasons. One, to rape a woman, and two, to rob everything. But he decided to take a shit instead. Doesn't make sense, does it? And what about that Dormer, this guy who killed the cops?
Yeah, explain to the folks.
I don't want to explain anything. If you're going to say that after everything I said, I'm going to leave.
No, I've heard
But
people
this
say
is the
that.
cheapest thing I've ever been involved
No,
in.
I've heard people say that.
If I didn't love you, I'd be so done now. I can't tell you.
I've heard people say that.
Here is
Explain
the
to the
thing.
folks who that is.
Hey,
Did you read his
the
manifesto?
Yeah.
You know, I went to a tennis match in Indian Wells,
Yeah.
and I saw Rafael Nadal play. He's my favorite.
Rafael Nadal. Explain to the folks who Rafael
Oh
Nadal
my
is.
God. Was Mike Douglas,
Mike Douglas.
and his co-host was Sly.
Now people are going to think that's Michael Douglas. You should probably
No,
explain to
Michael.
the folks.
Well, who's watching? Is this in the United States?
Well, I'll explain to the
Yeah, no, don't explain everything.
Mike Douglas.
Oh, you
Mike
just
Douglas
take
was
everything out of it. There's no sense being here. John Biner was brilliant.
So it was just John Biner and a bunch of Canadian actors.
It's a great show. It went 6 years, the first series in the history of cable.
No, I know. I wasn't saying it as an epithet. I meant I liked it.
Don't use epithet when you don't know what it means. We went over words before this show, and I asked you, do you know what epithet means? You said no. And now you use it.
But let me ask you this, though.
No, let me go on with this story.
Oh, is there a story? You said you worked with Red Fox on a variety.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm dying to
I
hear it.
produced Red Fox Variety.
You told me you just worked on it.
Worked on it.
Well, that's, I mean, according to
What do you think
Wikipedia,
I was, a stagehand, you douchebag? Worked on it.
Not
Did
the
you
first time I've been
do
called
your
douchebag,
notes?
Eric. No,
I want
got
you
all my
back on
information
drugs.
from
I'm
Wikipedia.
serious. I want you back on stuff so you
This
know.
close.
What?
Do a little news.
Yeah, we got some news pieces.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Adam had a question he wanted to ask.
Norm told me to come up with some questions for you, and I've just been dying to know, where do you get your ideas from? Where do you get your ideas from? We have some news stories here. I just wanted to cover.
Why didn't you answer his question?
What was his question? Don't ask that again. That was the dumbest goddamn question I've ever heard.
You just want to know where you got it?
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you where I got it, at Ralph's. That's where I got it.
We should explain to the folks that was Michael Jackson.
Let's explain. Yeah, explain who Michael Jackson is.
Everyone knows Michael Jackson. What, are you retarded?
You know what it's like? It's like I'm in a drag race car, and I just left the line, and I'm told that there's something wrong with the fucking motor, and I've got to put an emergency brake on at 90 miles an hour, okay? And I'm sliding all over the goddamn track, out of control.
You know,
We're talking about
All of
this
a
news.
sudden, we're doing Meet the Press. All the humor's gone, everything is gone.
in all
Who
fairness-
gives a shit if did you show a clip about dying of salt?
In entertainment news, this is something you guys both
Get to it.
Let's roll the clip.
Oh, not another one.
Oh yeah, you know what? There is no clip. We have.
He said, let's roll the clip, and it's a picture. This show is just so.
This is the section where we do jokes. Do you want to read one? Super Dave. Why is there an app for everything except how to rape a baby?
Jesus. You're doing this is your life. You're putting your life on. You dress like horseshit tonight.
No, that was Adam. I remember back when the Harlem Shake was just a black fella holding me upside down off a fire escape trying to collect his money.
Can you find out what the quickest way is to the Santa Monica Freeway, please? And don't call me again.
Super Dave.
I don't care about anything. You don't call me again. There's no last minute fill-in. There's nothing. Okay? Thank God we're only reaching 50 people.
No, you'll probably remember. Deep throat porn legend Harry Reeves.
Yeah,
He died. But how are they going to close that casket? I mean, because, probably because of resurrection.
How are they going to close that?
You have to remember that Norm is so funny and so smart, I can't even predict he'll ever assume his rightful position at the absolute top of the medal stand. Because he's, I don't know what to say. It's sort of like Galileo or something of comedy. It's not for his times in a weird way. But he's an absolute, one of the few certified comedic geniuses I've met in my life.
Do you watch your own show?
No, sir.
Well, you have, I've talked to people, I've watched it, and I've talked to other people who find it compelling. You can't take your eyes off. So
well,
there, whatever it is you're making up, whatever qualities you're fabricating here, you yourself possess them.
Well, the reason I'm here is because I like the show.
Well, that's very kind.
And I feel that you've really got something good here.
Well, that's very
I hope you stay with.
So I went green. So I just want to say that I think this is the greatest show on television.
Oh, listen to Jim. That's amazing.
Honest to God. Because we don't need frills any longer.
But you are the best.
Listen.
This is what you need to be doing. I love it.
By the way, I cannot not mention this.
Yes, the JC in your tie.
Now, Jesus Christ did not wear a tie. We know that.
No, he wore sandals.
So who else was JC?
Who else other than Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Jimmy Kahn.
How about Johnny Carson? That's right. This is his tie.
No, it's not.
Yes, in honor of him, I wore your show because
I'm the new Johnny Carson?
That's exactly right.
Holy cow.
Can I give you a compliment? Many times when I'm feeling down, what I do is I go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I watch you on various talk shows, like Conan, when you like bust people. No, this is I don't bullshit anybody.
He doesn't believe you.
And I watch you on these shows, and I have a good laugh.
Oh, that's nice.
You're a very good talk show guest, I believe. Do you know that Chevy Chase says that you are the only other anchor person of Saturday Night Live that got it right, that actually did it the right way?
That was very nice of him.
Did you know he said that?
I did hear that.
But Letterman loves you. I mean, he once said, if we could have Norm on every week, we would have. That he said something. And then he said the ultimate compliment, there may be people as funny as Norm, but I don't know anybody funnier.
Well,
that had to floor you, right?
Yeah,
that meant something to you.
That'll buckle your knees.
Yeah.
We always worry a little about you because we regard you as the top of the heap, the best of the best, the funniest of the funny, the guy who has it in every fiber of his being, not conjured. It's the real thing.
So, do you ever wish that maybe you were less smart, maybe you were more
I wish I was as smart as you.
Well, I'm not smart.
Oh, you're smarter than I am. I wish
No.
In terms of being intelligent, I think you're high here.
First of all, you are the man. You are my comedy choice. Whenever I'm looking for something on YouTube or whatever it is, Norm's always my first comedy choice.
God damn, that's nice.
Yeah, and I sit there, but you can suck up a little bit of it.
I met you first. You'll never remember this because I was hanging out. Where did we meet?
Crazy Girls.
Crazy Girls. Talk about truth in advertising in that fucking thing.
How are you so funny?
Las Vegas is now home to a 550-foot-tall Ferris wheel.
Also drawing thousands to Las Vegas. Whores. that's you. That's your voice all the way right there. It's the old, the Norm Macdonald lean in. Whores.
Oh yeah, dude, Norm Macdonald. Did you see him on Conan telling that moth joke?
No.
Yeah, you gotta see it.
No, I haven't.
Dude, you know how many comics out there don't give a fuck, but kind of still do? You have to kind of still do to eat. That guy
Norm
truly,
doesn't. He's so fucking funny.
One of my best opening monologue jokes ever. Did you ever see, remember that whole thing when he was doing Weekend Update and they told him to make it funnier? So he didn't. He just was more Norm the next week. So eventually, of course, he gets fired. So then, he goes off into the Hollywood world. He's got a TV show or a hit movie or some shit. So now they bring him back to guest host on SNL. And I'm going to butcher this, but he kind of came out. He's like, yeah, so, people know I got fired from this show. So now they got me back hosting, which means either I got a lot funnier or this show sucks. That's what he opened up with. And I know that wasn't approved. Sorry for the bad Norm. I'll have Jay Moore on to make up for it.
That was a great Norm. Listening to Norm on Stern or anything, any podcast, listening to, I don't know if you remember when Charles Grodin would do Letterman, and just knowing he's going on there, that it was always a fucking great show.
Oh yeah,
that's what
people didn't get that he was fucking around.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
how Norm is anytime. If Norm's the guest, I'm fucking listening.
There are obviously a lot of entertaining celebrities, but Norm Macdonald used to come on our show in the early days, and those were, I thought, great television because we never knew it was happening, and it was always teetering on the edge of, it was all about to blow up. It's all about to fail, and it would always end brilliantly. And then he stopped coming around, and it was just a period that passed. And I was always sad about that because I thought, we're a very celebrity-conscious age, and people always think that the best guests are the biggest celebrities. Sometimes, the best guests are these people that you have a weird connection with, and it's compelling television. People see and they talk to me about it later on. Like, I'll be out in the world walking around, and people will say, I saw that when you were with Harlan, or when you were with Norm, or with Ron. That really got wild and crazy in a way that they don't see on television that much. We're back, everybody. We're with a rehydrated Norm Macdonald. How you doing?
Good, man.
Your favorite guests are always like the Bill Burr, Norm Macdonald.
Yes.
This might go off the rails really fast.
Norm Macdonald, one of the great talk show guests of all time. He invented something that Norm Macdonald invented this amazing thing that I've never seen anybody do before or since. It's kind of like he split the atom. It was that revolutionary. Norm would come on, and he would, instead of telling you a real story, like if I had you on the show and you're like, hey, Bill, and remember I was living in Chestnut Hill once, and you would tell a real story about what happened to you in your life. Norm tells old jokes as stories that happened to him.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, Norm, what are you up to? And I mean really old jokes from like the 1920s. And he'd be like, well, Conan, I don't know if you're aware that I purchased a farm, Conan. I'd be like, really? You purchased a... Yeah, I purchased a farm. Of course, I have 3 daughters. And I'm like, you have 3 daughters? Yeah, I have 3 daughters on the farm. One very attractive, one not as attractive, and of course the third not, well, she's ugly, Conan. She's ugly. And I'd be like, Well, one day, this traveling salesman comes to the farm, and he says, now, Norm, I tell you. And then it's like he's telling an old traveling salesman joke.
Yeah.
But
you know about halfway through where
No, I usually know. I know kind of what he's doing. I'm laughing that he has the balls to do this. I'm laughing at the audacity. So I don't even care if this joke lands or not. I'm laughing that he's committing to the fact that, no, he doesn't have a farm, he doesn't have 3 daughters, he's no traveling salesman, but he doesn't care in a way that is exhilarating and scary at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And plus, he probably has some people in the audience who are taking completely seriously, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's got some people thinking...
We call them tourists.
Yes, we call them... They're usually from San Bernardino.
Well, Norm had the greatest talk show moment in the history of talk shows with Courtney Thorne Smith.
That was epic. That was so great, and it's funny because
it's lived on. Who knew that we were going to have YouTube eventually?
You know what?
We could just
God
queue it up
bless,
on command.
God bless YouTube. I had no idea when those things were happening. I thought, I'm talking 1993, 94. When those things were happening, I thought, what did I know? I just thought if you were up and you saw it, that means you saw You saw an amazing thing happen, and if you. And then maybe if I get to stay on the air long enough, we'll have a 1-year anniversary show, and maybe you'll see it then. But if you're not there for that, it's gone. And now I meet people, that around the world that will say, oh, I just saw that thing with you and Norm and Courtney Thorne Smith. And I'll think, that was a moment of my life when I was 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like 85 now. Like, how is that possible?
There's a lot of guys who sort of all of a sudden are like real big players.
Yeah, Norm got his own TV.
Norm's doing well.
What?
Do you hang out with Norm, or is it impossible?
It's pretty impossible because he's crazy.
He is.
In LA, I call him and he goes, I go, what happened last week? I called you to go on. You called me? And I go, yeah. On my phone? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got that. I go, you didn't call me back? No.
And he's serious.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And yeah, I know. Like, I have him on the
I
show.
love him, though. He's the funniest guy around.
We always worry a little about you because we regard you as the top of the heap, the best of the best, the funniest of the funny, the guy who has it in every fiber of his being, not conjured. It's the real thing.
Gold mask. My mom is so gangster.